Hello, everyone. Welcome to Symbaroum. We're running a little bit late tonight, but don't worry about it. We're here now. And before we start venturing into the world of inviting the players on and talking about recaps and things like that, let's get the usual promo nonsense out of the way. Checking the links below will yield to you links to Twitch, links to YouTube. You're watching this on one of those sites. Please do check out the other one. Links also to our Discord, our Patreon, our social media, our merch store, all that good stuff that you'd normally expect is there for the taking. We currently run 3 nights worth of campaigns. Mondays is a returning Warhammer, which Sam has just brought back this last Monday. Wednesdays, of course, Symbaroum, and Thursdays alternates between Wicked Ones and the Big Wet, with the latter, the Big Wet, coming back tomorrow to wrap up its storyline over the next few weeks. We also run one-shots on a monthly basis, or at least we try to, and the next one of those will be quite a special one-shot of Troika, which is heading your way on Saturday, the 27th of January. There we go. That was a very calm and restful way of delivering the promo. I hope you enjoyed it. I certainly did, because it allowed me to expend very little energy. So without any further ado, let's start bringing on the players. And today we're going to start with good old Chris. Good old Chris. Chris plays Steo, former infantryman and town guard turned adventurer and brand new Iron Pact member. Chris, why don't you tell us what's the Witch Hammer all about, eh? What's going on?
So essentially, and once again, kind of from Steve's perspective, what started out as a little holiday jaunt up to Carvosty to view some sights and maybe earn a bit of coin and see the forest friend, turned into what for Steel was largely a quest of little import, but a good way to stay away from developing geopolitical issues. As we kind of bounced around the kind of western side of Light Davokar up to places like New Earthmore and Fara Maroon in the search of more information pertaining to a possible route to Symbar, the El Dorado that will make us all millionaires, which coincidentally Steo has very little interest in, other than trying to prevent other people from getting there, because Steo's pretty sure that whatever there is trouble. But we completed our little roundabout quest, and despite undergoing this whole thing in an attempt to avoid getting into trouble with the state, ended up in a tent with the actual state, being kind of pseudo press ganged into, because we at this point had most of the information on this paper trail towards at least a clue to the location of Symbar. We ended up press ganged, for want of a better word, into joining a party of phenomenally important people to go into the caverns beneath Carvosty and try and uncover the final piece of this puzzle.
Yeah, absolutely. That's pretty much it. And here we are in the tunnels below Carvosty. Let's bring the other players on, and then at the end, I'll just give a quick update on exactly what happened last week and exactly where we are right now, and then we'll crack on, because we are rapidly approaching the end of the Witch Hammer, and I should think so after 48 parts. Yeah, I won't want to get in the way of that. So here's John. There's John. John plays Sir Arindar, last surviving member of the noble house of Dar, duelist and somewhat naive adventurer, with a cat friend with big teeth and claws. John, as I said, we're right on the edge of finishing up Witchhammer here. How do you think matters are going to end up for Sir Arindar? Do you think it's heading towards a resolution that he might be pleased with, horrified by, etc.?
If you asked Aaron, he might say that he could see a potentially happy ending. But you're asking John, and no, I think whatever happens, it will be terrible.
It's Symbaroum, right?
I mean,
sure.
4, 5 other books, so we know it's not going to be a happy ending.
Sure. That's fair. All right, let's wheel out Stephen. I think that's the second week in a row I've described it as wheeling out Stephen, which is no judgment on Stephen's age, but instead just a betrayal of my evident lack of vocabulary for these things. Stephen plays Elindra. It's all right. Former Templar novice turned adventurer with big sword. Stephen, same question to you, really.
What was the question? I wasn't listening.
Sure.
Chances of survival?
Not really chances of survival, but like we're approaching the end of the Witch Hammer. What do you think the chances are that there will be an ending to this that is somehow satisfying for Elindra? Do you feel like Elindra is going to get what she wants out of this?
Elindra has spent basically her entire time in this campaign trying to get a substantial payday, and that seems absolutely no closer today than it was at the start. So no, she's still going to be skint.
Fair enough. And finally this week, we've got no Mike this week, unfortunately, and there's a small chance he might turn up later on, but best to assume we'll be Mikeless tonight, in the Mike sense, not the Mike sense. Stop it, Matt. It's not funny. Here's Sam, our final player for the evening. Sam plays Ascarai, Changeling, Ranger, Scout, and Archer. Yeah, Sam, ditto again for Ascarai. Do you feel that the ending of this is going to give Ascarai some closure or some of what he wants, or how's it going to work out?
I think badly. I think best case scenario, we're probably outlaws on the run from both the Ambrians and the barbarian clans. That's best case. Worst case scenario is we're all dead, and then somewhere in between is we're like forced to work for the Queen under like heavy supervision.
I like that is like a better, like that's a worse case option than on the run.
my politics is showing. Yeah, I think that would be bad if we're just like, hey, go to Symbar and probably die, and anything you get, you give it to the Queen. That seems bad. I think if we're on the run, we're a capable bunch. We can probably survive for a little bit and then die glorious outlaw deaths.
Win-win.
A band of outlaws sounds way cooler than just like unpaid Queen's Rangers.
Sure. Well, with all that in mind, let's crack on. So we last week you had finally made it to the reliquary where all the important artifacts are stored in the tunnels of Karvosti. Basically the place you need to go. You'd followed Elmendra's footsteps there all the way through the tunnels. Only the reliquary, it wasn't empty. Having arrived there just after avoiding a kind of spider patrol, you discovered that there was an inhabitant of the reliquary in the former head of the witches, the former Huldra, known as Oriella, who seems pretty undead, pretty crazy, and pretty just worrying in many ways. She essentially threatened you all as a group, you and the companions who are down here with, and gave you 3 options to pass by her and gain access to the reliquary, and thus, what you're after. One was did you just have to fight her? And she seemed pretty convinced that she'd just killed you all. The second was to grant you an artifact that your group unknowingly had on you, the ancient weapon Spiderbane, carried by Father Argaton Salage. Well, he knew he had it on him, but none of you did, which it turns out was the hammer that was recovered from under Carvosti way back at the beginning by Elmendra and then passed on to the Sun Church, which had been masquerading as a sword in his hands because it can seemingly change shape. Or you can go get her an urn. Just an urn. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about the urn. On the other side of the tunnels, past a power node, past a spider princess. Just go there. Just go and get the urn. Don't worry about it. It's fine. Just go and get the urn for the crazed old evil creature. And your group, partially influenced by the fact that going to get the urn would take you to a room that some of you kind of want to go check out, I think. But also through a general kind of sense of maybe she can kill us all, decided to go for the urn, which I'll admit was not the choice I was expecting. But it's a choice I'm delighted with for various reasons. You'll all be very excited to know that I was thinking about what I could do with the setup that we've ended up with and various things. And I really had a eureka moment yesterday or the day before that I'm very happy about. Why are you all
When
looking,
Matt's happy, I'm unhappy.
why are you
Sounds
all
like
looking scared
terrible
that I'm
news.
happy? I thought you'd be happy for me being happy, but seems that's not the way. So with that in mind, you have just left the reliquary. Lindra ordered 2 of the rangers to stay here and stay on guard. Definitely what you need right now is a reduction in manpower. But she seemed to think it was important. And I believe the old Huldra had told you that there were 2 ways through the tunnels to where you need to be. Either literally head straight, let me get this right. Would it be head straight north? Sorry, I'm just bringing up my image. Yeah, either head straight north, which she said would take you through the Spider Princess, or it's possible there's a way to like go under and up again and get kind of past the Spider Princess that way. That way, by your reckoning, without any knowledge of how the tunnels work, would take you near, and I think she also confirmed this, the old Huldra, near this hall of tapestries that an elf you released from the prison had kind of said. Some things that might give you some answers on your questions are in the hall of tapestries.
There was also mention of a chamber of fire along the way.
There was a mention of a chamber of fire,
Yeah.
yes. It's probably fine, right?
How bad can it be?
Exactly. So with this in mind, here's how we're going to... Because again, the area under the tunnels under Carvosti are not particularly mapped by the campaign. And I don't want to map them either, because I think they should feel like a winding catacomb. It's not like a dungeon you're going around, right? It's just like... So what we're going to do... Ascarai, and you can have some roles that are supplemented by the rangers when necessary. Because you're not following the footsteps now. I guess you might follow Elmendra's footsteps back down a ways until you get to near the prison and then head north. That probably seems like a good idea. But otherwise, yeah, I mean, I'm assuming that's what you're... Would you think that's what you're doing rather than take another tunnel down to the area you were near before?
Yeah, I think assuming we're going for the sort of sneakier option, will they both... Do we head the same way for both of them? Because I think one of them is like on our level and one of them's down.
Yeah, I think the rough idea that you got from the old Huldra, the direct path is just more or less straight north, as straight north as you can go in winding tunnels. The other path is down, then north, then up. And you don't really know when to go up.
Yeah.
And
like, down would be backwards. And north
down
would
is
be
back the way you've come. Correct.
Yeah. Have we as a group decided we're definitely going the sneakier way? Or is this a debate we need to have?
I mean, you can of course have that debate. I'm just aware of... I think I'm actually going to impose a thing that if any more extended debates start happening in these tunnels, shit's going to go down. because
That's
there's
fair.
been a lot of standing around and whispering for half an hour at a time. But like, just off a show of hands here, because again, Marvello seems quite pleased for you to take the lead. He seems to think of you as the experts on doing this kind of thing, whether he's wrong or not. De Gesto will follow you. Yosefu doesn't seem to have weirdly much skin in the game about what happens. Argaton seems to be happy following everyone. Linda is skeptical of your skills, but also is only one person, so yeah. So realistically, I'm happy for you as the group. Shall we have a very quick show of hands? Who wants to go directly through the Spider Princess? Yeah, that's what I thought. So, with that
So
in
we're
mind,
gonna fight the Huldra. No, we're not.
with that in mind, yeah, let's start that debate again. With that in mind, is it safe to say you're going down, then north, then hopefully going up again, going around this power node and trying to get this urn without alerting this, spider goddess?
Yeah.
Maybe.
I think so. And I think very likely following the tracks backwards, as you say, until we get to a point where we think that we're down low enough that we can reasonably be under a level that would be above us, and then trying to head north.
It's obviously up to you, but like the elf told you to go north from the prison. So that would seem to be maybe the right level. And it's only maybe about a 10-minute walk back down the tunnels from where you are. So it would seem maybe that retracing the steps to the prison and then looking for a northward tunnel nearby and heading in that direction might be a good thing.
That sounds good. Sounds good.
Okay. In that case, you can do that without incident. Occasionally you hear a kind of distant chittering or scuttling noise that sounds very similar to the spider patrol. So you think there are clearly there are patrols happening. Something perhaps you've done or something someone has done has maybe it's just how high you are in the tunnels, or maybe something is up, something's happened, you're not sure. But you find your way back down to the prison without any incidents, without any of them crossing your path significantly. And yeah, I guess you've got to find a tunnel to head north now. So what I'll do for this, Sam, well, it's kind of up to... Do people think that Ascarai will be the one making these decisions? Because it feels like that would be a good thing to do, because Ascarai's the scout, but...
yeah, he's certainly out front, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I guess if there is a choice of ways to go, then there might be a discussion. But if it's otherwise, we're just going to follow Ascarai.
Yeah. Well, what I'm actually going to ask Ascarai to roll, and this is an interesting way to think of it, I think, is I want you to roll your cunning, but I want you to modify your cunning by your vigilant modifier. Because of you have that sense of place thing, right? You have a boon, and I know it's for tracking, but I feel like you have a very good sense of space. But I don't feel like this is particularly a vigilant role. It's more like a mental role, but I think it's one influenced by your senses. So your vigilant is it 16?
Yeah,
even?
16.
Yeah,
my cunning is 10, so it ends up just being
it's the same. It's same either way.
Same difference.
Well then, either way, could you give me that roll, please?
Yep, I need a 16 or 11. That's an 11, so success.
Great. Before you go too far from the entrance to the prison, you find what seems like a direct northerly tunnel. Seems as good a bet as any, realistically. So is this where we're heading?
Yeah, I'll head down. I'll say to the group, like, I think this is our best bet. It's not a certainty, but it seems to be leading north, which is where the elf told us to go. And we're opposite the prison, so we're in uncharted territory, but it's worth a shot.
Marvello, Lindra still doesn't look particularly happy about this, but Marvello and Lindra nod silently, and the rangers kind of fall in line. The two kind of ranger scouts kind of fall in line behind you and kind of pad along silently by your side. Is anyone else taking any particular action, like making sure they're in a particular place in the group or anything along those lines?
I'm going to be relatively near the front, and I'm going to be trying to look around the tunnel walls and stuff as I go to see if there's anything that resembles markings. We'd been told that there might be arrows that give some idea of directions, but we haven't seen anything like that yet. So
you've definitely seen like little markings on the walls, but you haven't particularly been able to interpret them.
Okay.
It's worth noting, of course, that like while there may be these little like signs and signifiers around, everyone's just been following footsteps to this point. So it's just what's the point in checking them to a certain degree.
So I thought I'd call that out as I'm paying attention to those things.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what, Elindra, you do see some of these markings around, and you notice that for the first time, both Alicina and Anton seem to be kind of making note of them, and kind of like Alicina in particular, like looks at one as you pass it, and you see her kind of like tilt her eyes up to like think a second, and she doesn't say anything, but she kind of nods and strides forward a bit. She seems to have a bit more confidence in her step.
Cool, it's good.
Okay. Before long, let's see how. I just want to check something. Sorry, 1 second. I'm just checking something here. Yeah. Okay. Sam, could you give me a D5 roll, however you want to do that?
Okay, a D5. I have a D10, so I guess I'll half whatever I get.
Mm-hmm.
That's a 5, so 3.
Okay. Yeah, you are moving through these passageways for again perhaps 10 minutes or so. This one has seemed to keep fairly straight north. You can, Anton, read kind of like, you know what, I'm going to say the witches actually use a script that isn't generally the same as any clan script, but I think it's one that maybe someone with Lawmaster would know, which is why Alicina and Anton kind of recognized it. But you're pretty sure they're like directional markers. And given the fact that you keep taking angling to the north, and every time you angle at an intersection, there's the same marking on it, and you're successfully going north, you think you know what the marker for north looks like now. You definitely know what the marker for up and down looks like, because that's easy to see, right? Because the tunnel will generally start sloping not too long after. Regardless, you are moving through one of these when you need to give me a vigilant roll at -3, please.
Okay, yeah, 13 or less. That's a 6. So yes.
Okay. Cobwebs again.
Okay.
Slightly, probably no. They're pretty thick, like comparable to the ones that you encountered not long before the reliquary. They seem pretty thick and bundled.
Okay. I think Ashko will attempt the same method of getting rid of them as we used in the last one, sort of burning them slowly so as not to pull them or interfere with them as much as possible.
Absolutely, and I think I asked you for a quick roll for that last time. So I'll do so
something
again.
like that.
It was something like that. Quick seems like the right roll.
Yeah, seems fair. That's a failure.
Okay. In that case, can you give me a D2 roll, please?
Okay. Let me get my D4. That's a 1.
Okay. So you don't really notice any difference to anything. You think like your burning of it was a little bit clumsier than it could have been, but otherwise, yeah, who knows?
I would say to the group, there's more thick cobwebs here, and last time we passed them, there was a spider patrol not long afterwards. So we should be very cautious. They might I'm getting the sense that maybe they're thicker the closer we get to the center of the spider kingdom down here, or whatever it is. So maybe we're going in the right direction, but also completely the wrong direction, depending on how you look at it.
Sure. Okay. Are we proceeding onwards? Okay. I like these sections of the dungeons where it's almost like a solo role play with just Sam, because he's just creeping ahead of everyone,
I feel
making
bad.
sure you don't all die. Other people
Have
can
you
do things if they want.
seen the rules we'd be making for this? You
Sure.
might as well just tie you to a stick and wave you in front of us.
Yeah. Is that technically like bow cavalry? Okay. After another few minutes of walking, you emerge into a larger chamber with a number of other tunnels leading off it. You've hit a few of these already anyway, and tried to pick the right way forwards. But this one has something slightly different in it. Askarai, can you give me a vigilant roll at -3, please?
That's a definite failure, which is a 19.
Okay. In that case, I will make a roll for the ranger. One of the rangers will be alongside you. And I'm just going to double check. I think their vigilant is, I think that's their 15 stat. Yes, it is. I'll make the roll, which they fail. You stumble forwards and are alarmed to find yourself basically almost striking with your knee a person sat with their back to you in the center of the chamber. They seem to be dressed in a simple blue cowl. They cannot but help have heard you. They've definitely heard you. Like you stumbled to a stop and sent a scatter of gravel. They don't react.
Can I I mean, I'll stop, but can I go around to the front of them to see them? I mean, they know that I'm there and they haven't killed me.
Absolutely. It is a young woman with this cowl drawn up as a hood. She is staring at the floor and certainly appears to be alive. You'd say she's breathing. She does not acknowledge you in any way, other than you think her face moves kind of imperceptibly away to tilt her face slightly away from your torch.
Okay. I think Askray will look as other people sort of come through into this area, will look the kind of concerned, like, what do we want to do? It's just a person.
This sounds like a great opportunity for me to fail another witch sight roll, Matt.
Sure, go for it.
Cool. That's my vigilant modified by their discreet. I don't know if there's a modifier on that.
Yeah, I don't have that. You know what? What would I say their discreet is? I'm going to say it's 15. So -5.
Oof. Then I would need to get a 1, and I got a 3.
No, but I will give you for free that there's something odd about this young woman.
Oh, there's something odd about this young woman.
If they're meditating or casting a spell,
Before everything gets kicked up around her, is there any obvious signs of a conflict here or any fluids?
No, the floor looks just blank, normal soil particles and gravel. One of the rangers kind of near the back of the group says, "She doesn't look like a witch."
Venom? Paralysis from the spiders? I'm no expert in these things.
I'm going to say that Anton, at this suggestion, is going to he's going to move forward and kind of like crouch down by her and sort of reach out to kind of like sort of her hands are kind of folded on her. She's kind of kneeling and her hands are folded on her lap, and he'll reach out to kind of like not to touch her, but to kind of gesture towards her and try and kind of examine her a bit closer. At which her face turns feral, would be a good term, and she hisses at Anton like a startled cat. She doesn't attack or like make any other moves, but she hisses at him, and he kind of like recoils a bit and almost tumbles back onto the gravel, and her face tilts down again to stare at the floor.
Anton,
Lindra says, "You go."
Have you tried saying hello to her? Perhaps Odav?
Anton says, "Yes." And he says what you recognize as hello. I mean, you probably know how to say hello in Odav. He says hello in Odav, and then in Xeric, and then in Carrot, and basically just goes through everything. She doesn't respond to any of it. And by the time he reaches kind of Sarkhan, Lindra kind of steps forward and says, "I'd say we just leave this tormented soul where she is, perhaps. She doesn't seem like she's about to interfere.
Yes,
Maybe
do
we
you know
move on.
what?
The overwhelming time
Let's-
pressure. If it
so.
makes us more comfortable, I can slit her throat."
Oh,
That could be worse. But you're right, let's move on.
Lindra shrugs and starts moving forward. Okay.
Leaving stuff like this behind me.
Just before we go, are her robes like recognizable as anything that we might know of?
No,
Just
not really. It's a very simple kind of like just blue
Something.
cowl.
Or their
It's
magic or anything like that?
No, it's it looks very simplistic, but it's certainly of a design that you could imagine multiple clans wearing. It's definitely kind of barbarian in its aspect rather than Ambrian, but yeah. Okay, carrying on forwards then. I would like another 5 or so minutes pass as you progress through the tunnels, like perhaps a couple of you glancing behind you at the mysterious woman kneeling on the floor in that chamber. I would like a discreet roll from all of you, unmodified. And again, this is, do you remember when we did this last time? This is like how well the group does it rather than like a flat yes or no. So we've got good, got 2 goods. What? 3 goods.
Elindra passed. I also rolled for Revelia, who did not.
Okay.
I didn't know if you.
Okay, so that's 3-1, which is a bit worse than it was last time, because last time we all did it, right? We all made it. It was 5 successes on discreet, which is not the party's strong suit. But okay, 3-1. I think that's reasonable then. In that case, what I would like from all of you is a vigilant roll at +4 from all of you, please. Yep, we got good all round. Okay. More of that like chittering and like sibilant movement kind of dopplers in from what sounds like a tunnel really nearby you. I mean, it sounds exactly like the spider patrol you encountered last time. So presumably it's them or something very similar. Marvello is up near you when you hear it, Ascarai, and he kind of glances over to you, kind of clearly deferring to you as kind of the sort of lead scout of this enterprise, and he kind of quickly indicates either kind of like he kind of tilts his head towards the walls of the tunnel you're in, kind of like moving, like, you know, hiding presumably, or he kind of gestures out and kind of like hefts his blade and his shield. What do you think you should do? You don't have to make the decision on your own, but he's certainly asking you in the instant.
I think that's what I was gonna make to hide. It worked last time, and you know, we can always fight if they find us, I guess.
Sure, absolutely. Okay then. Well, with the discreet that you rolled last time, that you rolled at the beginning of this, I don't particularly see a need to roll it again. You can all kind of lurk along the side of the tunnel, and you wait until you hear the movement go past ahead of you and then off into another tunnel and recede into the distance. It all takes about maybe 2 minutes in total. So you lose a bit of time for what it's worth, but yeah, you think you think they've passed and you're relatively safe.
Breathe a sigh of relief and I guess head on again. As Lindra says, we've got a lot of time pressure.
Okay. As you carry on moving on, let's get a sense of where everyone is in the party. So Ascarai and Alindra are near the front. Arendar and Steo, how about you two?
After that little brush with death, Steve's probably going to try and move a little bit closer to the front.
How about Arendar and Farron?
I guess I'll be towards the back then.
Just kind of lurking. Yeah, there's a few people at the back. Yosefia very much seems to be at the rear with her two men. Father Argaton is there, as are a couple of rangers as well. Can you give me, please, it'll be a vigilant roll, but it will be modified, and I would like you to modify it by actually nothing.
Is it something Farron should also roll for?
No. All that actually we have had modifiers due to the dark in the tunnels. Let's say this is a -2.
It's a fail either way.
Have you actually rolled it, or just no? It's not worth it. It's
I rolled it.
Vigilant. Yeah. Okay. Sure. So, Ascarai, the tunnel ahead of you seems to be evening out. It was kind of weaving backwards and forth, and now it's kind of opening up a bit, getting a bit wider, getting a bit straighter, and you soon find yourself near what seems to be, the stone arch that was in front of the reliquary. A very similar stone arch is here. You have, as you've been going through this section, you've passed by a number of kind of like small chambers that seem to store things like textiles and parchment and paper, like little storerooms that were very obviously of no real, very practical looking, you know what I mean? Little kind of like pantry size spaces just storing practical goods. This looks quite different. And as you creep up to it, you see that again there's like a torch lit on the far end of it, and in fact a number of sort of globes that seem to have softly glowing crystals hanging in them, suspended from the ceiling. All of these seem to be illuminating a great number of complex and artistically advanced tapestries along the walls.
That's where we'll turn to Alindra, I think, is at the front, and say, I think we're here. Tapestry room.
Looks like it.
But...
yeah, let's keep our eyes about us.
Okay, I take it we're heading in as a group and looking around. Oh, look at that.
Cautiously,
look
yes.
what we've got. Look who we've caught.
Did I miss any of this scary arachnophobic stuff, or have I got that joy left yet to look forward to?
Kind of by proxy, kind of like you avoided another patrol.
Okay.
You didn't have any direct spider on face action. Yeah.
Sorry to disturb the rhythm of things, but what decision did we all come to? Because I think in the last session,
Sure,
it was sort of hanging in the balance.
I'll sum it up real good for you. We're going after the urn. Rather than go directly north through the Spider Princess, it was decided to go the other route where we went back down and we kind of go via the Hall of Tapestries and hopefully avoid said Spider Princess and going back up. So we're kind of part way through that now. You encountered a mysterious woman in a blue kind of cowl kneeling on the ground in a chamber. Her only reaction was when Anton, actually, I acted for you because I think the idea was he thought she might be poisoned. So he tried to like help her and she just hissed at him and then started staring at the ground again. And basically everyone went, fuck this, and just went past her, carried on. Then you avoided a patrol and now you're at the Hall of Tapestries. You've literally arrived just as we arrived at the Hall of Tapestries. So
great.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah, everyone proceeds into this chamber. It is quite large. It's what seems, once you go through the stone carved archway, it seems to be a dry, natural cave. There are around 30 rods hung horizontally from the ceiling, attached with wires and hooks. And on these rods, 50 or so tapestries, patterned rugs, are mounted in row after row. Most of them, at first glance, seem tattered, probably salvaged from Symbaroum ruins, and many of them depict abstract patterns rather than images. However, all of your eyes are immediately drawn to two of them, which seem larger, more complex, and in better condition than everything else. They're also in kind of pride of place, opposite each other, on opposite walls, about halfway down the chamber. So you've just entered. I don't want to speak for you to say you're going to look at the tapestries, but you know.
I'll say that we're like I plan on moving in like slowly and cautiously and watching for
surprises.
Jump out.
Everyone,
you don't think like unless there's something mystical at play here, there definitely couldn't be anything alive hiding in here. But of course, that doesn't rule out mystical things and traps and all sorts of other stuff.
Yeah, and if there are mystical things here, I don't stand any chance of seeing them, do I?
not with those rolls, no. You advance forwards, and I'm assuming the group is going to advance and just take a look at these two central tapestries. Is that the idea?
And I want to gasp my little warning on the way in because it's for the ears of the party, but just kind of said aloud, is everyone keep your wits about you. With an audio wink, if such a thing is even possible.
Sure. Steo flashes up a kind of wink emoji in the air. Okay. So the first one you reach, because it's just slightly in front of the other one, on the left-hand side, it is 5 meters by 3 meters, so pretty big. It was weaved with thick threads, and over the years they seem to have lost much of their color and luster, but the image is still very clear. It depicts a throne perched on a high stone podium, but the throne itself is not of stone or wood, but of thick, writhing thorns stretching towards the ceiling and drooping over the podium like a billowing cape. On the throne sits a faceless, sexless ruler dressed in white and red, with some kind of crooked wooden staff resting across its lap.
That's the kind of chair I'd sit on if I were trouble.
You hear a mutter from one of the rangers near the back of the group of the Throne of Thorns, the prophecy. Do you think that's the Queen?
Don't recall
Because-
the Queen fighting with his staff.
I think that figure is deliberately not anyone in particular, or could be anyone. So, yes, why not?
Are we turning to look at the other tapestry?
Yes.
The other one is thinner and more panoramic. It's 4 meters high, almost 8 meters wide. Cuneiform writings have been embroidered near its upper edge and can be interpreted by anyone with lore master ability at master level, which for us means Alicina, who will step forward and peer at the kind of like quite worn writings that have been woven into it and read, "The last battle of Symbar. A great city towers in the background with a battle raging in the forefront. In the center rides a steel-clad knight in odd-looking armor, swinging his sword. More human warriors come rushing from the left towards their enemies. Slim, spear-wielding humanoids, some as tall as the warriors, others much taller. And among them swarms a horde of spider creatures." Can you give me a beast lore ability check, please, Ascarai? Well, actually, Ascarai rolls his cunning. Actually, did someone buy? Am I right in saying that someone bought beast lore?
I
Oh,
just
no,
bought
Matt.
a higher level of beast lore.
You
bet.
bought a higher level of it, which we'll talk about at the end, how you've done your XP spend as well.
Revelia has
Okay.
it at novice.
Okay, well, you can go with Revelia as well then. Revelia and Ascarai roll cunning. Everyone else rolls cunning at -5.
Revelia passes.
Also passed.
Okay, looks like Aaron.
I
Aaron
failed.
also passes.
Okay. Well, everyone who passed, that's Ascarai, Aaron, and Revelia as well. Yeah, I mean, some of you others might have realized this, but the tapestry is, quite worn and damaged. The tapestry really is suggesting that the city of Symbar, the fabled, ancient, cursed city of this, antiquarian civilization of Davakar, was crushed by an army of elves and spiders.
Lots of stuff. Lots of stuff I want to say about this, but not in the presence of the goddamn enemy.
Not with a fash here.
Not with the flippin' Bobo here, no.
The spiders are working, or were working with the elves.
I swear this could be tens of thousands of years old.
I mean, still, it's
Shouldn't be surprising either. We know the elves are opportunistic.
fair that the spiders, I did not have the impression of that they would work with elves of all people.
And the inhabitants of Symbar were people, just ordinary people.
Was a human. Symbar was a human civilization. We knew that, didn't we?
I mean, broadly, yeah.
There are
Certainly
barbarian clans that claim to be
Mhm.
descendants of the rulers of Symbar.
And like
Yeah,
things like,
humans.
King Curian Low APAC, who you met in a way, was human, right? As was the other undead Lord of Symbar you met, actually Anton didn't, at the beginning of the Witch Hammer, right? In the tower you uncovered was also human, or seemed like
the
he
one
had
my
been human.
the one my sword cracked off a one-liner at. That
Yeah.
guy. Yeah.
Oh, and the was she an architect as well? That
Yeah,
was
the
sat with
friendly
the
one.
family. Yeah, was sat with the family. Yeah, yeah. The people of Symbar being human is something I think is generally understood. Yeah,
Okay.
but humans very skilled in particularly magic. Hence, the overwhelming corruption of the forest.
I don't think this is as much help as I was hoping to be with our current situation. However, what a wonderful find for the anthropologists.
It does make you think, though, if the spiders at some point were involved in the downfall of Symbar and have now just recently moved into these tunnels just as the way to Symbar is discovered in them, perhaps they're here to guard that secret and not allow humans back.
Could be. Who knows what their motivations are? I don't imagine that we're going to be staying in this room long enough for me to make sketches, Matt. But I'm going to take a good, long, hard look at both of these tapestries and do my best to commit them to memory. To if we survive, sketch these later.
Well, shall we make a roll to see how well you do that?
Sure.
My gut would be cunning, but I'm open to counter arguments.
Vigilant. I mean, it's the same for me either way.
Yeah. Okay, one of them, whichever one of them you prefer, I think is fine.
That's a pass. I needed a 10. I got a 5.
Yeah, you can remember all the pertinent details of them to try and, unartistically replicate them later, for sure.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Okay.
Okay. This was not useful. We've got an urn to earn.
Marvella is kind of staring up at the panorama of the last battle of Symbar and kind of nods and says, "Yes, we should go." He gives it a kind of last long look and then starts to retreat. Lindra was already, she didn't give a shit. She was already she's been stood at the door watching out for anything approaching.
There are other tapestries in this room, aren't there? But these seem to be the most important ones. Okay.
Yeah, the others are either abstract or they're really withered, or they just don't. They're certainly not as large. They don't seem to have any significant importance.
Okay, I shall we take a look around, specifically if there's any that have elves on them, but otherwise move on.
Sure, well, give me a vigilant roll at -3. Actually, no, at -1. It's much lighter in here.
That's a 16, so just fails.
Yeah, you're honestly people are moving out relatively quickly. And you're not sure you got a good glance, but for what it's worth, from what you saw, you didn't seem to see anything. Yeah. Sure.
On the tapestry of the battle, can I try and pick out if there's anything distinguishing about any of the elves in it? Are they all portrayed largely the same? Or
no, like I said, some of them are they're all kind of an elven, slender, taller build, but some of them their heights range significantly, and some of them are seem to be much taller than the humans, and some of the tallest ones seem to have kind of crude horns drawn from their heads.
Okay.
In the background of that tapestry, is there anything about the city or other landscape? Is there anything resembling landmarks, essentially?
No, not really. I mean, you're not even sure the person had ever seen Symbar. You know what I mean?
Okay, it's sort of romanticized.
It very much looks like sort of romanticized medieval art of King Arthur, and so it's very much in that vein, right?
Okay.
Yeah, it strikes you as being in that vein.
Cool.
Yeah. Okay. So we move out of the Hall of Tapestries and move onwards. Ascarai, you probably should start thinking about finding a kind of tunnel angling up. Do you want to give me a vigilant roll at -3? Oh no, we said cunning modified by vigilance. So give me a cunning roll at your +6. So yeah, give me your
Okay.
16 roll to try and find a tunnel leading up nearby.
That's a 7 success.
Okay. Yeah, you find such a tunnel and are happily kind of like angling yourself. It's kind of veering up, you'd guess, to the northwest, but at a fairly steady incline. So you're fairly confident that you don't know if it's past this power node or not. You've got no way of knowing that. So all you can do is kind of like, guess that this might be the case. As you do so, can we all give get a flat vigilant roll, please, at -3? Ooh, nice one there from Steo. Ooh, so we have 3 shakes of the head.
I got a 1 as well.
2 1. Okay, 2 1s.
God
Okay,
damn it, Steve! That's
You know
not
what?
even fair.
with 2 1s, I'm going to consider that 3 successes out of 5 instead of just 2. Okay, because those are pretty good rolls. So, with that in mind, there is a sudden burst of that sort of sibilant chittering and skittering movement ahead of you, not long after you start this rise up, and you can see that there's like a kind of faint light ahead of you in the tunnel, indicating obviously another light source, an odd kind of like yellowish golden light, as opposed to the more kind of subdued flickering of torchlight or the white of the crystal globes. But either way, what that light source is, clearly there are spiders nearby. Clearly, like, again, Ascarai, are you essentially choosing for the group to try and hide? These have definitely sprung on you more than the previous ones did. You could still try and hide.
Part of hiding is like we douse all our torches and stuff, isn't it, to avoid being noticed?
Almost, yeah, like almost certainly dousing your torches would be handy, yeah.
I guess I think that in this situation, does it seem like we'd have a worse chance of successfully hiding than previously?
Yes, but not not impossible.
Okay.
But it's definitely you feel like, I don't know, you feel like you think these spiders know something's up and someone's around, and that they're increasingly becoming more, quiet and trying to like they're trying to catch something or someone, right? And that seems to be escalating each time it happens. They've been like on you more suddenly. So, you still you think you could try? Yes.
I think Ascarai, having just seen the Ascarai's 50-50, he thinks back to the whole tapestries. He's like, these spiders were allied with the bloody elves, and he decides he's gonna go for
right. Yeah,
motioning for the violence is Ascarai's idea.
Okay. The 2 scouts kind of look over at you and look over at Marvello. Marvello kind of levels, looks directly at you and kind of raises eyebrows as a kind of, are you sure?
Ascarai just draws his bow and points it in the direction of this sound.
Okay. Marvello is going to take 2 quick skips to the front and sort of stand alongside you with sword and shield drawn. And he gives kind of like a gesture backwards, and the Rangers start kind of moving forwards stealthily at a pace. Like Marvello and the Rangers are basically starting to jog forwards in a kind of anticipation of trying to spring a surprise on the spiders, essentially. Yeah.
I'll be activating Revenant Strike at this point.
Absolutely.
I would also like to activate some things if I roll
Go for
enough.
Let's have one activation before we enter, because like they're basically up and around the tunnel from you, so it's not long before you are gonna like spring onto them, right? So, what did you manage to do there, Mike?
Oh, my blessed shield, and I passed.
Nice. Who else is getting it?
So I guess the spiders are like nearer Ascarai at the front of the party, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'd probably include Ascarai then.
Okay.
For that reason.
Sounds good. All right. So, can everyone roll me an unmodified discrete, please? I think it's unmodified. Let me just double check. It is unmodified. Yes. And how are Aaron and Elindra doing? No. But that's still a majority. So I think we can effectively surprise the spiders, right? Which means I will give everyone a single non-combat action before we start, right? Or in fact, I'll modify it. I'll just give everyone a single action. Okay. So those of you with ranged, you can fire the ranged, and those of you who are melee can like try and move forwards to be in front and stuff like that, right? So John, let's get a initiative bar up, please. Put the spiders on as hunting spiders. And they are on a quick of 15 and a vigilant of 10. I imagine the quick of 15 will basically put them right near the front anyway. But let's go round the group first for your free actions. I will describe the scene. Basically, as the passage kind of rises, it levels out a bit in front of you with another kind of long passageway going kind of perpendicular to it. Ahead of you, slightly offset, is a large natural opening in the wall, beyond which there seems to be this is where the yellow, kind of orange, golden glowing is coming from, and you can see that past that natural opening is a kind of grotto that looks to be maybe about 5 meters in diameter, 2 to 3 meters from floor to ceiling, and fiery embers seem to be raining down from above, sort of oozing from the ceiling and evaporating before they hit the ground. Perhaps this is the sort of chamber of fire that was mentioned. Seems maybe a good guess. On the opposite side of the perpendicular tunnel to that is what can safely be described as a horde of spiders, moving through the tunnels and kind of moving away from you at the moment. So it's a good chance to kind of spring on them. I described them before, but they're about the size of a large dog. They have glossy black hairless bodies and long thin legs. And obviously, the first person to get their extra action, their surprise ambush action, will be Ascarai, because Ascarai does everything first. So,
Ascarai, we have one action. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. In that case, Ascarai will take one shot with his bow. I guess an armor-piercing shot is odd. I would take 2 shots, but I think that's 2 actions because I need a movement to do that. So I'll take one.
Yeah. Take one armor-piercing shot. Sure.
Yep.
So your shot is at. I'm going to say you gain advantage because you're ambushing them, right? Not for the subsequent things, but I think your shot is definitely a thing.
Okay, nice.
So can you roll your attack at -3, please?
Okay.
There you go. Good defense. Quick at 15, right? So
that is a 14. So that fails. I could hunters something them, but I feel like I didn't say I did, so I'm not gonna do it.
It's very honest of you. Your arrow whistles past the rearmost spider that kind of like makes an odd kind of like almost like knocking noise from the center of its thorax and sort of skitters round to stare and then kind of, you see like multiple eyes glittering in the half lights coming out of the chamber of fire, and it lets out a large sort of a loud whistling hiss. Okay, let's have Elindra. What's your action going to be? It will take 2 actions to reach them, but of course, if you take an action to move forwards, that means you're in front of, for example, Askarai.
I don't really want to get in front of Askarai. I guess I will stand beside Askarai and just kind of plant myself there. I assume they're going to come to us soon enough.
Yeah, I mean, either way, if you engage them in combat, Askarai will not be able to safely shoot into the combat without some kind of.
Okay, just not. Yeah, I haven't got the space to work in here, have we? Okay, in which case, if I'm going to assume then that Askarai doesn't isn't likely to get much use out of his bow in this situation, so I am going to rush forwards.
Yeah, he's probably going to have to maneuver either way to try and find some kind of leverage. So, yeah. So Elindra has moved forward. Good to know. What is Revelia accompanying you?
Yeah, I think so. I think that the 2 of them are pretty lockstep these days, aren't they?
Sure. Yeah. So what about Ferren and Arendar?
They were going to hand back and wait for spiders to come at us, but with Elindra and Revelia pushing forward, I think we will similarly push forward.
Sure. Fair enough. Steo?
Yeah, I guess if everyone's moving forward, then no one's moving forward relatively, but like my skills are based on engagement, so I'm going to have to move forward.
Absolutely. How about you, Anton? Of course, I guess you've got an option to use some kind of mystical power as well.
I don't think that Anton would view these as being abominations or undead, so I don't think that he's going to use Holy Aura or anything. So I think I'm going to position myself next to Askarai, perhaps, but like kind just behind.
Back him up.
But also like fairly close to the people who have gone beyond him.
Sure.
So
kind of a step in front of Askarai, sort of.
Yeah.
Just
Not directly in front of Askarai, just in case there's an arrow that
just hovering. No. But like basically there, because Askarai's arrows are more important than your flail from a practical standpoint, right? So like, you're there to like clobber a spider if it comes for Askarai.
Yeah.
Is that the
Look, I haven't yet had one of Antom's flails in my back.
Not yet. But of course, there's first time for everything.
Hey, I have the ability to flail with one hand and heal with the other. Anton giveth and Anton taketh away.
Yeah, if there's anything I've said about Anton, it's that he's so good at what he does that he can do it all at once. He can try and do multiple things at once. Mike, is that what you've been doing? Have you been applying your own negative modifiers onto all of your rolls since the start of this campaign so that you can accurately?
After 2+ years, we finally worked out what the issue was.
We finally worked out the issue. Nice. Okay. Regardless. So for Askarai's, for your benefit, Sam, basically everyone but Anton in this group has kind of run ahead of you to try and engage with them. And Anton is like stood by you, but a step forward in case something comes at you to try and whack it. Okay. Until they're engaged, you can still fire arrows into the general mass of spiders.
Okay.
But there are, I want to make it clear, there's a lot of spiders. Right? So, like,
we're not
this is going to break down
this.
into chaos quite quickly. And what I'm going to do, because there's such a large group of NPCs, I'm not going to do what I've done in the past where I've kind of almost simulated it. Like, it's all going to be narrated and it's going to be like kind of chaotic. So bear that in mind. It's worth noting, by the way, the passage is not hugely wide, but it is about, I don't know, let's say 3 or 4 meters wide. So it's wide enough for a few of you to form a little front, right? Like it's got some space there. So yeah. Okay. Let's start the rounds properly. Askarai, you're the only person to go before the hunting spiders. So, make it count.
Yeah, better make the most of it. Okay, I'm gonna do not move, and I'm gonna take my double shot. And the
Mhm.
first one I shoot at, I'm gonna appoint as my hunter's instinct target. So I get 2 tries at it, and I do an extra d4 damage.
Okay, so this is a roll at -5. Their defense is -5, then you no longer have
Okay.
advantage. So.
I need an 11 or less. That's a 7, so a hit. And
Okay,
the damage is a d10 plus a d4 from hunter's instinct. That'll do. That is 10 damage.
10 damage. Okay, then. Well, I will tell you that your arrow passes through this spider like like the spider is made of I don't know, cake. Like the arrow just plunges through it like an insect. Like it's got an exoskeleton, but against like a high-powered, arrow, it's very little defense at all, and it literally sinks into this creature and out the other side. And the spider gives a kind of like croaking whistle and collapses onto the ground, just immediately dead.
Okay, nice. I'm gonna try that again with my second shot on a different spider.
Mhm.
And I think the rules of my hunter's instinct is I do it when I attack, basically.
Yes,
So
you
do
can.
it again.
Yeah, you can try. I think definitely we had this question before, and you can basically transfer it upon death.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna try again.
I couldn't think of anything softer than cake. Right?
It's a new Netflix show. Is it spider? Is it cake?
You just have
Is
to
it a
try and
cake
eat it to find
or
out.
is it a cake full of spiders?
Bit of a horror show, really. I failed the first try, but I rolled a 3 on the second try, so it's a hit.
Look, all I know is as soon as I said the spider was soft like cake, the Twitch comments tracker immediately racked up to 10 unseen comments. So like I just knew as soon as I said it, I was like, oh, I'm gonna be hearing people, everyone in this group is gonna be like, yeah, like cake for the next 2 years. Fuck, it's a buffet all over again. Okay, you hit the spider. Carry on with your damage roll, please.
The damage on this one is 6.
Is 6. Well, that is over its pain threshold. Would you like to knock it prone or go for another shot?
I will go for another shot, I think.
Okay.
I still get 2 tries as far as I know.
Mm-hmm.
That is just a hit, a 19, but then a 13. They're -5 now. So it's 2 misses.
-5 defense, yeah.
So
Okay, yeah. Well, your first arrow takes the thing in its abdomen, and it kind of like wobbles and skitters along the floor, but just about keeps on going. And your next arrow fires wide to it and kind of ricochets off the gravelly ground. God, the Twitch chat is keeping going. It's fine. Okay, it's the hunting spider's turn now. And what we're going to do is we're going to have one of the hunting spiders each charging. I should note that the hunting spiders I'm mentioning aren't all of them. There's way more, but they are engaging the NPCs, okay? It's like a wave of spiders coming for you. But for your reference, there seem to be or have been in total 9 spiders coming for like your group, right? One of them is dead and another one is wounded. And the 4 of those spiders, including a wounded one, are basically coming for let's say everyone who moved forwards. There was actually 5 people who moved forwards, so let's say it's everyone but the cat. Right. One spider is coming for each of, oh no, it was 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. No, it's 5. I'm losing it. So Revelia, Ilindra, Steo, and Arin each have a spider coming for them, right? The other 4 spiders that are still up and about are going to let me just double check something. They are going to rear up on their kind of rear forelegs and are going to spit something forwards, or they appear to be spitting it. A great tangled mass of gunky webbing springs forward from each of them, and I'm going to select 4 of you at random to receive this blessing. So let's go with well, there's how many of you are there? There's 7 of you, technically speaking. But I will I want an easy life, so I'm going to exclude Ferrin from the first roll. They are firing at 1, 2, 3 Anton, Ferrin, Arid, and Askarai. So Anton, Askarai, Arin, all the A's, and Ferrin are going to have to try. I want you to roll your quick at a -3. Everyone who I have named there, roll your quick at a -3.
Need
Don't
a
forget the
4.
Ferrin roll.
Roll to 20.
I think that's a miss. How has everyone else done?
I also failed.
Ferrin passes. Could I, if this is an attack, could I use my acrobatics instead of a defense? No, because it's not a defense, it's the quick. Never mind.
What?
Never mind. I answered my own
Okay.
question.
It is an attack, but okay.
Then could I roll
does
against acrobatics instead?
What do you mean? What do you mean against acrobatics?
Can I, the spider that's engaging me, can I use
Yeah.
that spider as a spider shield?
Can you
against
do
the
that with
other
ranged
spider?
attacks?
It doesn't say I can't, and I think we've played it that I could before.
But you're not engaged with anyone, are you?
This did
As the
happen
other
a
spider.
long time ago when I shot Steo in the back of the head because I was shooting a person with master acrobatics.
Right.
But I don't know if
Yeah,
we've
but
since ruled that it shouldn't happen like that. But
don't you have to be like engaged with someone to do it?
I guess
thought
the
when-
question is, have the spiders reached us yet?
No.
Yeah.
Because I'm doing the
Okay,
ranged
then-
attacks first.
Then never mind.
Yeah, it says in combat with more than one opponent. So you've got to be. Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. So it doesn't say that you can't do it with ranged, but you need to be in combat with more than one opponent.
We've definitely
Which
done
I
it
would
with ranged before.
almost.
Yes.
Which I would almost interpret as it not being ranged, because the idea is that if it has to be more than one opponent you're in combat with, you're using one combatant against another combatant. But I also like the visual of you like wheeling someone around to take an arrow and then stabbing them. So I'm going to let that pass. Regardless, you're not in combat. And you're
And
also not in combat. And you're also not in combat with more than one opponent. So no.
Yes. I failed.
So you fail. So Ferrin is the only one who avoids the big glob of webbing that is fired at him. So what this means. On your turns, you get 1 test per turn, which is going to be a strong roll, a flat strong roll. And until you make that roll, you cannot move. And you have to roll twice. You have to basically roll at disadvantage when attempting to perform any action. Oh no, it's even worse than that. You roll twice when performing any action, and you fail if any. Oh no, that is rolling at disadvantage. What? Hang on. Jesus Christ. The attempt fails. No, the attempt fails if either of these tests are unsuccessful. That's not rolling at disadvantage.
I think it is.
Is it?
Yeah.
Otherwise,
Yeah.
it would be advantage, I think.
Roll
Oh, yeah,
twice,
you're
take the
rolling
worst
and
one.
picking the worst.
Yeah.
Ignore me. I'm completely off it. So yeah, you roll at disadvantage for any action, and you can't move until you make this strong roll. Is basically the thing, and that is what the spiders are going to do. As for the other 4 of them, as I said, they're now charging up to you. And let's go around the table in the obvious order. Let's start with Steo, because Steo gets that long attack, but the long attack is again going to be at disadvantage. Or shall we? No, this isn't your turn. So, yeah, you take a long attack at disadvantage at -5.
I wasn't hit by the goop.
No, you weren't. Fuck.
And I also have
You
long.
weren't. You also have.
Okay.
Look. That's it. So, Steo, give me that long attack at -5, please.
Right, so it's 11s or better. That's a 10. So that is a
Okay.
D10 plus 1. That is 6 damage. And they are now
Okay.
disengaged.
Well, I mean, they're permanently disengaged because that was the wounded spider. And you
Rip.
permanently disengage them from this plane of existence. Yeah, you just impale it. It just comes like you just stab at you kind of flip your spear overhand and like you're fishing and spear down at the right moment. It's dead. Insta dead. Okay, let's hop over to Arindar, who is webbed. So, you are about to get hit by a spider. So why don't you give me your defense roll, please, at a -3.
And this isn't at disadvantage because defending isn't an action, right?
Correct.
Good.
I'll just double check the phrasing. Yeah. I think that's fine.
I failed.
Okay. Then can you give me an armor roll, please?
Yes. Oh god, I don't have a D8 ready. Oh no. Oh, I do. Oh god. It's all going wrong.
I mean, you're not worse than me, so you're fine.
8.
Yeah. The bite of the hunting spider seems not so powerful, and it kind of scrabbles and hisses away at you and sinks it. Like its fangs seem to get dragged in one of the kind of like the rolls of fabric on your sleeve, and you kind of yank it away successfully. Yeah, it doesn't manage to bite you. Okay, let's go with Revelia. So
Cool.
Revelia is not gooped.
Nope.
So
Does
it is
not
engaged by a
have
spider.
does not have long, so it's just
Does
a
not have
defense
long.
roll, right?
Defense roll at -3, please.
That's a
Wait,
fail.
Stopped using a spear.
Yes, she's sword and shield. She has a
right.
spear, but she's not using it.
Got it.
Yeah, so that's a fail. So I guess you would want an armor roll.
Yes, please.
7.
Okay. Again, the spider is kind of skittering and scratching kind of over her shield, but she kind of shoves it off and back with what looks like very little effort. They don't seem very heavy. And she kind of flings it back away from her, wheels her sword round to stop a counterstroke. Elindra, give us the long attack, please, at disadvantage at -5.
I didn't get gooped.
Did you
for
not?
what No, they did. I wasn't aimed at by one.
Oh,
It was the 3 A's and Farron.
it was the 3 A's and Farron. Yeah, fucking ignore me, Jesus Christ.
So is that just a straight attack?
Yeah, a long roll at -5, please.
Okay, I got a 1.
Okay. Well, then, that is immediately off to a good start.
Uh-huh.
So that is a perfect hit. So you can add plus d6 to the damage roll.
Hot dang. Right. So my goal here is to see if I can hit this thing hard enough to take out some other spiders with the shrapnel. I'm rolling d12 plus d6 plus 2d4 plus 1.
Jesus,
19.
19 damage. I mean, Asker, I killed it in 1 with 10. So I think we're safe to say that, yeah. Basically, this thing kind of springs like a jumping spider, springs for you, and you're not, it's not even like a kind of like, you know, Wrathguard big swipe. You just kind of do a draw cut over, and the thing just bisects and splatters. Like each side kind of splatters against one of the walls of the corridor. They are not hardy creatures by any stretch of the imagination. As for their actions in other places, what's going on in the wider combat, I have come up with a new system for big combat, magic prizes. And what I'm going to do, if anyone's interested, various monsters and adversaries in the books have like a rating, right? Like strong or challenging or whatever. I've assigned a number to each of these. I've assigned numbers to the NPCs. And what I've done, because it's such a weird big encounter, I factored how many spiders are against you, and then put that against the NPCs and increased it a like amount, right? So it's a roughly dynamic, say the same dynamic amount. I then added the numbers on both sides and said, okay, this side wins, but takes this many kind of points of damage. And what I have is a table here of to reveal how this is. Like basically rolling on this table results in damage to the side that's on the like underwhelmed side, right? So what this means is I would like one of you to roll a d12. Completely unrelated to the fact there are 12 NPCs, of course.
Sure. I'll go. 3.
3. You notice from the corner of your vision, Elindra, that Alicina, the Ordo Magica mage, is kind of wrestling with a spider against the wall. And basically, let me check what. I just want to have a quick check what mystical ability she's listed as having, because that's probably relevant. In this case, she does have that. Yes, she basically kind of is kind of literally grappling with this spider, and you see her kind of like sort of slam it against the wall and release a great flare of brimstone cascade from her hands that like roll over the spider and reduce it to like melted slush. And she kind of staggers back and is like cursing, and like her hands are kind of dripping with like heat and horrible goo, and she kind of like is just like clasping at her forearm where you can see 2 bright red welts where the spider has kind of bitten her, and kind of like a sort of slightly distended kind of blackish greenish flesh where some poison is working its way under the skin. She doesn't seem she seems in pain, but not like overly concerned, and she's just kind of staggering back a bit from the melee, trying to get some distance from the mass of spiders. Yeah, does that sound reasonable?
That sounds fine.
Fine, it's all fine.
Yeah, she'll recover.
Yeah. Meanwhile, we have got some NPCs in this thing, and I'll say how Malamai seems to be doing fine. He's got his, I think he has an axe, right? And he's sort of swinging it out and kind of has chopped at least one spider into pieces, and is kind of like standing next to Degesto, who is similarly like he's just squashing like with that fire tube, just kind of battering it against these fragile creatures and doing a great deal of damage to them. Okay, Elindra, it's your turn. Of the spiders facing you all, there is one on Aaron, one on Revelia, and there are 4 that fired webs that are a little way back, but you could run and attack one of them if you wanted.
I think the people in one-on-one fights with spiders have probably got this, so I am going to run forward and engage one of the web slingers.
Absolutely. So long attack first at -5.
-5. That's a
You bought
miss.
that at Adept, didn't you?
Sorry?
Because it's only once per combat, isn't it? At basic. Did you buy?
Oh, yes. No, I still haven't.
trade level?
I haven't got the adept yet. That's right. So
Is it once per combat or once per round or something?
well, we're in the same round as like I've already used it, right? When the
Yeah.
when the spiders came to me.
Yeah, that's true.
So that's not a long attack, but I can do we can make this a normal attack, but either way I missed. So
Yeah, are you a novice on Polar Mastery?
yes, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
then
saving
it's-
up.
Yeah, it's actually not even. I'm looking in the thing, but it's actually the equipment because it's long rather than anything else. I'll just very quickly double check just because I'm paranoid. I'm sure we're right. 1 free attack. Yeah, it says 1 free attack each turn, but it seems like it's on. I think we've interpreted that as each round. I think that's the fairer thing because otherwise you get it on there. Yeah.
That was the result of our previous discussion and kind of
and I think that's fair, and that also allows much more scaling when you do get Polar Mastery. Yes, okay, then just the normal attack. I'm sure you'll be fine with the normal attack.
Well,
-5.
I already rolled the dice and it's a miss if it's at -5.
Okay, it is at -5.
Oh, I do get the
the backswing.
The backswing. So I get a second attack roll.
Yeah,
that is a hit.
Damage, right? Yeah.
Yes, that will do these. Well, so it's D6, but I think I get
Revenant Strike as well.
So D6 plus D4. I don't know if I get there was a +1 in there somewhere, so I don't know if that counts for this. Let's say it doesn't. So D6 plus D4.
I think I'd only apply like things that are like applied to the weapon, if you get what I mean. Like,
yeah, that's fair enough. I rolled it. Well, I got 8. I got a 4 and a 4.
Okay, well that's definitely over the pain threshold. So prone or another attack.
I will take another attack on the same thing. So that's another miss.
Okay.
Backswing. That's a hit. And that's 4 damage.
Sure. And the first was how much damage was the first one? Like 8 or something?
8.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, you basically, the thing keeps like ducking out of the way of your great strikes. But you like it ducks out of the way and then tries to spring. You quickly backslash and carve a great gouge off its thorax, and you essentially just do the same thing again, and this time its head comes off and kind of rolls at the ground as your feet while the body quivers and thrashes a bit before collapsing. Yeah.
Cool.
So that one's dead. Revelia's turn.
Revelia is -5 again. That's also a miss. They're hard to hit.
Okay.
And she does not get any cool backswing or anything like that. So
they are nimble things. Okay, Farron, who I guess is flanking, right? Because I'm happy for him to be with. That's what he's for, right? Essentially. So yeah, he can flank this spider who's with you, Aaron.
Cool. Yeah.
So that's a -3 in total because flanking gives a +2, right?
Okay. So an accurate 11 minus 3, 8.
Speaking of flanking, we've got a bit of talk in the private chat about where they outnumber us. There's only 1 on each of you. None of them are none of you have multiple spiders on you.
That was me asked the question. I just meant in general, like if they do decide to gang up, Are they
Oh,
big
yeah,
enough
there's,
to do
like-
that successfully?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they're kind of, dog size, large dog size. So
Cool. I just know that us against large enemies, we don't get so much.
yeah,
so I didn't know if that was
it's not that much scale.
Okay.
So
He does a hit for 7 damage.
that's over the pain threshold. Does he want to prone or another attack?
He'll do another attack, and if this one doesn't finish it off, then it will also apply poison.
Nice.
That one is a miss.
Okay. What's Farron's poison?
It says poison 2 for 2 turns, but I don't know if that's supposed to be like poison 1d4 because he's got adversary stats.
No, poison is static amount for static turns.
Cool. Yeah,
speaking.
2 for 2 turns.
Okay. Yeah, Farron rather slips around behind it and kind of savages the rear of this arachnid, leaving it looking pretty bitten up and pretty poisoned. And now it's your turn, Arendar. So
Is trying to break out of the goop an action or a free action?
No, I don't think it's. I think it's a free action. Let me just double check if it says anything, but I don't think so. It just says 1 test allowed per turn. It doesn't say that it's an action. And most of these things, like maintaining a spell and stuff like that, seem to be free actions. I think it's a free action. So give me a strong roll.
That is sadly a fail, so I will
Okay.
just try and hit it.
Still gooped. Okay, so you've got 2 attacks. You've got to do 2 rolls at -3, and if either of them miss, you've missed.
My first one missed with 18, and I rolled again just to make sure I didn't get a 20. I didn't. It's fine. It's just a fail.
Sure. Yeah, you kind of go forward to kind of, as the thing skitters around to try and address Farron at its flank. You try and kind of like lurch forward to run the thing through, and you basically haven't realized that there is goopy webbing linking like your elbow with your fucking knee, and you just kind of and almost literally collapse forward onto the floor with the sudden extension of your arm. Okay, Steo, you are free. Currently, Aaron and Farron are attacking one. Revelia is attacking one, and there are 3 just free, like just the ones that fired webbings, and they're unengaged.
Oh, tactics! It doesn't really matter. They're not super spicy. I'm just going to go and I'm going to engage one of the free ones.
Okay, and give me that long attack, please, at -5.
So entering into long range, I miss.
Okay, and then just give me the regular attack at -5.
And that is a success.
Nice.
For 9 damage.
Well, that's over its pain threshold. So what do you want to do? Prone or free attack?
I will swat it, please, with a second attack. Once again, a good hit for 2. And another 9 damage. Go Steo.
Yeah. You just like lumber sort of like up, like thud across the corridor floor up to it. Kind of, and again, you're like spear fishing, just like jabbing it downwards. And on your second blow and your third blow, you manage to pierce the thing twice and leave it kind of spasming on the ground until it rolls over and kind of like folds those claws, those legs in on itself as it's in its death throes. Okay, who else we got? Anton. We've got Anton left. He's all gunked up and nowhere to go.
Powerful sexual image that is. Shall I? Have I got to roll against strength? Because if I do, this is going to go very badly. My strength is 7. Oh, I rolled a 5.
Two entries later in the campaign, when Anton is still lurching around, covered in gunk. But you made it, right?
Yeah, I passed. Yeah, I rolled a 5.
Yeah, you managed to kind of like tear it off you enough that you're loose and you're ready to go. So yeah, you could charge forward and face. Basically, you can move forward and attack and attack the ones engaged with Aaron and Revelia, or you could move forward twice and engage a fresh one, but not attack.
I think I'll go to the one that's attacking Aaron because maybe I've seen that Aaron is gunked up and didn't escape, if I understood that right.
No, he does not have your degunking skills. So yeah. Okay, give me an attack roll at -3, please.
It's been a while since I've done this. I rolled a 1. That's good.
Great. It is good. So you can add, I believe is it a D6 or a D4? It's been a while since we did this. It's a D6 to your damage roll.
Okay, that is 6.
Okay. Yeah. Aaron, you're kind of still picking yourself up off the floor, and there's a kind of like, you hear a kind of war cry and a big crunching noise, and as you're kind of pushing yourself back to your feet, just like you get a face full of spider, basically, as you see like the kind of like the metal bludgeons at the end of Antom's flail just come like crashing down on this thing and just rend it absolutely apart and partly embed it into the gravel on the floor of the corridor. So say thank you.
I go, good work, Father.
Okay. Onto the companions, and I would like another D12 roll. Who wants to make this one? Right.
I
then I'll pick
volunteer
one.
Antom. I volunteer Antom because I want to see how you can feel this roll.
D12,
Okay.
you said.
D12, I said.
9.
9. Okay. You as you're kind of like bringing your flail back up, you see Malamai kind of like crashing back against the wall of the tunnel. He's got like a hunting spider wrapped around over his shoulder, and it's kind of like fixing into his neck. He swung the haft of his axe around and is smashing it brutally against the wall, and eventually it kind of spasms and dies and drops off, but he's kind of like reeling back and clutching at his shoulder, where you can see like some blood running between his fingers. He's absolutely still alive, but like he's definitely taken some damage from it. Okay, back round to the beginning, and we've got Askarai. Askarai, in order to fire, there's a couple of unengaged spiders, so you could fire at those.
Okay. When do I do my I'm gunked up.
You can try and degunk with a strong roll, yeah.
Okay, I'll try that first. I need a 7 or less. My strength is not good, but I'll give it a go. Also, is the strength roll at disadvantage because of the gunk?
No, because it's not an action.
That's a 4, which succeeds. Miraculous.
Nice. Yeah.
Managed
to tear the webbing off yourself.
Yeah, I think the one I had Hunter's Instinct on is dead, so I'm gonna put Hunter's Instinct on the one I'm shooting at, one that shot at me, probably, and try and murder it with 2 shots.
There are 2 unengaged spiders, so let's see if you can kill them both.
I'll do my best. That's a 6, so definitely hits. And it's a D10 and a D4 plus 1 for damage. That's 11 on the first shot.
Okay. Well, that arrow, it just literally passes through the creature it goes into its multi-eyed face and emerges out of the back of its thorax. So
nice.
it's dead before the arrow has reached the other side. So like Yeah, that's a very clean kill. And presumably the last unengaged spider.
Yeah, try again. That's a 4, so it's a hit. And the damage is 10.
They're basically identical shots. You just like maybe you're enraged by the covered in these
revenge
foul webbing. Yeah, and was mad at them for apparently the fact they're allied with a race of humanoids you've got a massive grudge against that you're kind of part of. And yeah, you just put arrows into these spiders with alacrity and precision, and they're both dead. The only spider left now is Revelia's spider fighting your group. The rest, I haven't really talked. Like the spiders swarmed like around you as you were fighting, and up over the walls, even kind of skittering like some kind of arachnid parkour. Up and around the group of you and swarmed over everyone, right? They didn't quite reach where Ascarai is, stood at the very back, and there's a couple of rangers alongside you also like firing arrows into the mass. But you can see Marvello kind of like thrashing around himself in his kind of controlled rage that you've seen him fight in. Lindra is probably back near you with her bow as well. I described Degesto and Alicina and Malamai just fine. The Father Argaton has also fighting, and anyone who's looked to him has noticed that literally every time he swings, a spider dies. Like the touch of the blade in his hand, because it's a blade again, just seems to sear through these creatures. Living up to its name, perhaps. Yosefia and the Fortune Hunters also lurking near the back, but a couple of spiders made it through, and they kind of leapt on them and stabbed them with blades and hatchets. Okay, we're on to the hunting spider's turn again. Let's do the one attack on Revelia, I suppose.
Sure.
There is a reason I'm not wrapping up here, and we'll get to it in a second. But yeah, Revelia with a defense at -3, please.
Sure, she needs a 12. She got an 8, so successful defense.
Yeah, absolutely fine. She batters it back from her with her blade and her shield again. Okay, can I have from a final person a D12 roll, please?
I can do it.
John's gonna do it. John's gonna do it. We got it.
12.
12. Okay. Let's say that Ascarai probably sees this being near the back. I mentioned that Yosefia and her Fortune Hunters were kind of behind you, and they kind of like focused on one spider and kind of hacked it down, and they kind of back away from it and kind of look around themselves. Yosefia kind of like steps off into the shadows at the side of the tunnel and is kind of like coolly observing kind of things and being aware of her surroundings. The Fortune Hunters, not so much. And as you watch, a spider springs from where it seems to have scuttled around the back of the group and leaps onto the back of this Fortune Hunter. He lets out an almighty shriek and kind of like flails around at the back. The other Fortune Hunter leans over with a knife and tries to hack at the thing. But the bitten Fortune Hunter collapses to the ground and is like thrashing around. And as you watch, his body arches into an entirely unpleasant and lethal-looking kind of curve. You almost feel like bones must be breaking with the force of his seizure as he starts thrashing on the ground, foaming at the mouth. The biter seems to have, with your rudimentary understanding of biology, you would guess that the spider probably bit directly into his jugular. And therefore the poison has kind of toxins have flooded straight to his brain immediately. He thrashes on the ground for about 10 seconds and then goes still with a kind of hacking death rattle. One of the Fortune Hunters is dead. And if you are interested, it is the Fortune Hunter she must have recruited at the siege camp, because I said there was like she managed to find an extra, right, at the siege camp, and it's that one who you didn't have any interaction with on the plateau of Karvosti earlier. The unnamed red shirt fortune hunter is dead. Okay. Elindra, you gonna hack up this one in front of Revelia and
Yeah, let's do that. Let's step in. So, okay, I guess first thing that's going to be a longer attack. Second thing, we're flanking this thing as well, right?
yeah, you're flanking it, so it's a long attack at -3.
Long attack at -3. I need a 12, 18. Okay, but the backswing.
Mm-hmm.
That's a 4, so that's a hit, and we're gonna do. We said that the additional dice for flanking probably isn't going to count here, or is?
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Well, you weren't flanking before, were you? So
no, am now. Yeah, 10 damage.
Yeah, your backswing carves it in half. With that shriek, you hear another couple of similar kind of spiders dying. Kind of Marvello has one that tried to kind of like jump at the side and crawl over his shield, and he just kind of thrashed out with the shield and battered it against the wall with a great crunch. And as he pulls back, it kind of drops to the ground dead. Lindra has kind of like slowly pacing forwards, measuring each shot and like downing kind of a few paces forward, firing a spider drops, a few paces forward, firing a spider drops, until she's kind of up near the other rangers and Marvello. She kind of draws a short sword and stabs into a spider that's still thrashing and quivering on the ground. You can't be entirely sure that all of them died because it was chaos. Like, some could have escaped. You think it's possible, but there are a lot of dead spiders on the ground, and one unfortunate fortune hunter. Malamai is kind of like flexing his hands and like holding against the blood is stopping, and he seems to be like the poison seems to be kind of wearing off because he just kind of seems in discomfort. Alicina is showing no further kind of negative things. They're both just a bit the worse for wear. Otherwise, you're good. We can end the combat. Yeah, Mike has had to step away, folks, by the way, in case you're wondering. Yeah. Patrol defeated.
We didn't have to take that fight. It made too much noise.
I don't think we were going to avoid all of the spiders forever.
We have to come back this way anyway.
It's done now.
Yeah, let's keep moving. Good job, though. Even a bad fight, if you win, still a good fight.
So the corridor kind of goes on in the direction that the spiders came from, but also we have this side entrance into the Chamber of Fire, right?
Correct. And just from your understandings of I think I said everyone could basically understand what the sigils for up and down are, because it's like obvious when they're linked to it. The Chamber of Fire does have a symbol outside that says up.
And we were specifically given instructions to go through that way, right?
The old Huldra did say go through the Chamber of Fire.
Yeah, it wasn't.
Didn't sound appealing, but
it wasn't go past the Chamber of Fire on your left. It was go through it. Okay. So how does this fire work? It's falling but not reaching the floor.
Correct. It's evaporating before it hits the ground. Are you at the entrance of it now, kind of looking in?
I suppose so. Yes.
Okay. Well, first of all, there's an opening on the far side of the chamber that seems to lead to a gentle slope upwards. And second of all, anyone who is not kind of patching themselves up and is kind of intent on moving forwards and at the opening to the chamber can give me a vigilant roll at -3, please.
That's a fail for me.
Okay. Why not roll from you, Askerai? What are you doing instead?
I think Askerai, inspired by a comment we received, is going to see if he can get anything out of these spiders. Is
Sure.
there some token he can take, or some poison he can get out of them, or something like that with his beast law?
Sure, absolutely. Why don't you give me a cunning roll? I'm not
Okay.
entirely sure how it works, but I'm going to bodge it and say it's a cunning. It feels like it would be a cunning roll.
Me neither. I should definitely look it up, but
We'll use the proper rules when we look it up, folks. But for now, a cunning roll will do. Yeah.
it's an 8, so a successful cunning roll.
Okay, then I think you're doing this quite quickly, right? So why don't you give me let's say a D. There's a lot of spiders though. Give me a D6 roll.
Okay. That's a 1.
Okay. These spiders have been squished pretty fucking heavily. You basically find a poison sac that you can extract from one of the spiders and kind of decant into a small flask at your side for 1 dose of, I think it's weak poison. It's 2 for 2 rounds. So I think that's weak poison, right? Because
Okay.
it's 2, 3, 4, I think.
Nice.
Better
I'm
than
happy
nothing.
with that. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, the rest of the group are kind of like gathered at the entrance to this chamber of fire. And Alicina is kind of like looking through and has her head tilted to one side and sort of scratching at the deep scars on one side of her scalp, on one side of the mohawk. And kind of looks round. Revelia's spear is just a normal spear, right? It's just a spear with a wooden haft. And
Yes, she wasn't using it in that fight, so it's just kind of on her back or something. But yes, it's just a normal spear.
Alicina reaches out and says,
it's Steo's old spear, isn't it? Or did you get that one back?
No. It's my backup spear, so it's still masterwork, but it's not. So it's still a +1 damage. I think.
I don't
but
know.
It's not.
I don't know.
But it's just a normal. It's just a normal spear, though, right?
Sure. Yeah.
High quality normal spear. Yeah.
Yeah, but yes. Okay. She reaches out towards Revelia and says, "Squire, may I take your spear?"
It's not mine, she'll say and gesture to Steo. But be kind of unstrapping that, like, unless there's any objections.
You just get out.
Alicina, with an act that takes no small amount of strength, kind of hefts the spear, like blade end, kind of under her arm, and like lifts the length of it and holds it steady, and kind of just holds it underneath one of the spots where these fiery-looking embers are kind of dripping out from the surface. And within a few seconds, a big glob of this glowing orange material dribbles onto the spear. The wooden haft of this spear, which reacts in no way whatsoever. I think they just look like embers. It's some kind of mystical residue. If I had to guess, I'd say that some ritual was performed here in years past, and it left a mark.
I must ask, you're sure it's not an enchanted spear?
Is it an enchanted spear?
I don't know. Look, doesn't matter.
She shakes her head as if you're incredibly foolish, and for she is game master analog, and just withdraws the spear and hands it back to Revelia. There's still orange glowy stuff kind of dripping down the haft.
Okay,
she doesn't seem bothered.
It's a physical substance, but it's not lava. I guess Revelia will kind of put a hand near it and like, does it feel hot in any way? Like, is there heat emanating from
it? It feels gently warm, but not like, if you put your hand right near lava, sure. You'll know it. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Alicina is looking to be about to take a step into the chamber itself.
I think I'm happy to let the mage go first.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't see anybody trying to stop her.
Yeah. I mean, from the look of the surface of her flesh, she's done this kind of thing quite a lot. And takes just a couple of paces forwards and literally holds her hand out. Actually, she'll roll up her arm and offer like a forearm underneath. Bits glob down and drip onto her and evaporate. Kind of, they drip further down and then evaporate almost as soon as they're off the bottom of her arm. She shakes her head and says, "It's fine. Just walk through."
Right.
Let's go.
Go through. Not quickly.
Mm-hmm. The group kind of stumbles onwards across the chamber of fire, like wherever it drips on you. It's kind of a pleasant warmth, actually, like a warm bath sort of sensation, albeit a bit more gel-like. But it evaporates almost as soon as it drips on anyone. You go out the kind of opposite part of the chamber and up round a swooping, curving passageway that leads upwards until you are faced with a large, massive, thick concatenation of webbing across the face of the tunnel, easily thicker and more bulky than any you've seen before. What are we
This is
doing
going
about
to
it?
take a
We're
while.
doing the
isn't
same
it?
thing about it?
Where were we meant to get to after the fire chamber, according to our directions? Was it just after this, it's tunnels and then our destination, or was there something in between?
There wasn't really anything. Like, she'd said that like the urn is somewhere near the power node, but if you come up from below, perhaps you can avoid the power node where the spider princess is and find the urn by itself. So you don't know, but there is a lot of webbing on this tunnel right here.
Okay.
Yeah. We're heading towards the known location of the
As far as you're
spider
aware.
princess.
Speed suggests we cut through it as fast as we can. I don't know if discretion is still an option for us.
I think the game's up, isn't it?
Most likely.
Okay. Are we using the same technique as before? Or are we burning through it?
I think we're gonna cut. Just slice it.
Cut for speed.
Just hack it apart. Everyone just hacking away at it and pulling it apart. Okay. Okay. Sam, you've done these rolls so far, so I see no reason why you shouldn't do them again. Can you roll a d4 for me, please?
So 2.
Okay. All of you wield your weapons and hack apart the thick bundles of webbing that stretch across the tunnel. Again and again, you rain blows on the stuff, giving each time, but there's enough just mass of these things that it's hard to get kind of a clean swipe through. Even people like the stronger members of the party, kind of Lindra, Stio, Marvello, DeGesto, are struggling to kind of like pull their weapons all the way through it. But eventually, just through the weight of repeated blows, the webs come apart. And as they do so, as the final bit is hacked away, there's almost like a whiplash effect on the webs that hang remaining, and they kind of curl back with a sort of forced tension and kind of like recoil against the wall, as like you can see bundles of webbing wreathed around the sides of the tunnel and working their way further beyond, almost like cabling along the ground and the walls of these kind of like rocky tunnels beyond. And there is a kind of moment of silence after this happens. And then somewhere not so far away, deeper within these upper tunnels of Karvosti, comes a tremendous sibilant whistling hiss that echoes all the way to where you are and kind of beyond. All of you, like slight amounts of stone and gravel particles fall from the ceiling. That's how powerful this thing is, as it resonates around you and beyond you. I think we'll end the session there. So there we go, folks. Thank you to my lovely crew for playing. Thanks to you for watching. If you've got any comments or questions, please do sling them into the Twitch chat, and we will address them momentarily. In the meantime, some thank yous for stuff. I think everything from Monday got addressed, apart from we actually saw that we'd been raided literally just as we went offline. So thank you to either Legitimine for your raid. Thank you very much for that. We didn't notice it last time until we were already offline. Also, promo nonsense, links below, Twitch, YouTube, you know the drill. Also links to social media, to Patreon, to Discord, our merch store, all that kind of stuff. We're running 3 campaign nights at the moment. Mondays is Warhammer, Wednesdays is Symbaroum, and Thursdays is alternating between Wicked Ones and the Big Wet. Tomorrow sees the return of the long asleep Big Wet mini-series, but hopefully we'll have that wrapped up for you within like a few weeks, something like that. And then we've got some other series arriving. We've got something that will probably replace Big Wet when that finishes, and we've got, and obviously we'll probably put Symbaroum on pause for a short while, a month or so, as we tend to do when we reach the end of a big arc, and we'll do something else with that. We also run one-shots about once a month, the next one of which is on Saturday, the 27th of January, and sees us return to the lovely, whimsical weirdness of Troika. And that will be quite a special one-shot for reasons we are not yet ready to divulge. Yeah. Okay. Comments and stuff. Azimuth. Being all dead isn't the worst case. Worst case is being turned into mind-controlled zombies for a few hundred years. Sure. We can see that. And heal the spider and flail my colleague. Oh, hang on. He's not even here to defend himself.
He did a good flail today.
You did a good flail. Did a pretty good flail. And no one really got hurt even, so, you know. Don't kick food. Arakaknid. Sure.
It's good.
I appreciate how hard you had to work for that one.
I'm not encouraging any of this because I know it'll just come back on me anyway. So
I think if this happened and you were like, "Oh, I love these cake puns," it would just immediately disappear.
yeah, maybe. Yeah.
You gotta use a bit of reverse psychology on these.
Sure.
Internal memes.
You say that, but I just operate from the position of if everyone liked me, it'd be really nice if they treated me like that. But you know, obviously that's next comment. Electro Druid Stephen, what could be sexier than a t-shirt saying soft like cake?
We're talking about the merch possibilities.
Sure. No, I got that.
Well, I like it.
It's rule. I can't remember what the rule number is now. Just in terms of it being sexier.
I love the idea of the confusion invoked by someone wearing a t-shirt that has like a picture of a spider being shot by an arrow that says soft like cake. He's like, what the hell?
Yeah, that's okay. Okay, I'm now on board. That's pretty good.
Just really, just putting everyone you encounter on the back foot, right? Like, what is happening?
Look, I hate when I misstep and create memes that people use against me for years. But on the other hand, I'm really up for Dadaist t-shirt designs. So, like,
right?
Yeah. Next,
silver lining.
This next one was specifically when the spiders were doing their ranged webbing attacks.
Right. Some goes in Antom's mouth. Look, some cake. Look, I was already trying hard enough to avoid sort of Bukaki imagery when we were talking about the goop and the splattered spider and stuff. So it's all on you now, you people in chat. That's all.
But then all gunked up and no place to go.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Sam, another sage in the ancient war of cats versus spiders. Sure.
It's a very poorly written comment by me, but still.
We got it. We
Stand
got
by
it.
it.
We got it. We got it. 42 is a changeling, not an elf. They're related to elves. I think the general perception of most Ambrians is they're like half elves in some way, or like elves who haven't grown properly because they're left among humans or something like that. Precisely what changelings are isn't kind of sort of divulged necessarily in like the core book and stuff. I think I don't know if it's revealed more later, or maybe it's in a bit and I haven't read it, but like yeah, the general perception is that elves leave them in human settlements as something. Perhaps a lot of Ambrians see them as kind of sleeper agents.
I would like to take this opportunity to ask Sam if he wants to tell everyone about the XP he spent.
Yeah, I did spend it. I had loads of XP just sitting there, and I had no idea what to do with it. Well, I had ideas, but I was very indecisive about it. In the end, I decided to spend 20 of it on Adept Beast Law, and I chose Cultural Beings as my focus for Beast Law, which means that basically we get Askrai gets a D4, an extra D4 when fighting these cultural beings, more or less, and
which includes human, which is basically sentient beings, humans, elves, etc.
And the party does as well if Askrai has had time to like tell them what the strengths and weaknesses are of these things. I think is the idea. And then I also spent 10 on backstab, which basically gives me an extra D4 when I'm fighting in melee with advantage, which helps my melee. My melee is already like kind of okay, but this helps it a lot because feint gives me advantage on basically every attack I do in melee, and this adds another D4 to those attacks. So it's a bit of a combo.
Finally addressing the serious damage shortfall on our glass cannon chain.
Yeah, it's truly what your character needed.
Beast Law was like the most.
Melee, to be fair.
Beast Law was like the most sort of, utility thing I could take almost. Like most of the abilities are somehow like murder things better. I think the next one I take is going to be a shapeshifter thing. But that makes me tankier, which I feel like is almost worse. Like, at least let me be killable. Like,
yeah.
Look, Free League, I'm trying not to become a living god here. Please help me out.
Give me some, like, completely wasted abilities I can take.
Yeah.
Well, look, you can't complain because, like, everyone except me was gooped by the stuff I would get serious advantage about escaping from this session. 20 XP just sat there staring at me.
Is the higher level of that good? Like the top level of whatever that is?
So
Steadfast?
There was talk. I think I'll keep my upcoming XP spends under wraps, but there was talk about going for the master level of Steadfast, and after some thinking, it might not be the direction I take it in. It's just the XP to action economy is just not great on it, and it means me rolling against too many things that I'm not good at.
Yeah. Incidentally, if anyone's interested, why? Because I know I've been kind of like leveling up encounters a bit to like throw a bit more challenge your way. I chose not to do it with that one for reasons, which I'll more explain after the story's over if people are interested. But also because I felt like the new system I've got where the group, the NPCs get hit, like takes away a lot of the nothing really. There was no threat to that because someone died.
I have to say, I'm intrigued at the idea that you've like taken all of the rules and kind of boiled them down into a homebrewed kind of mass combat system, which is just like generate a table before the encounter and roll on that to see what happens. I kind of like that.
It's janky as fuck, but it's got a certain appeal to it for sure. Yeah, and you know what? If people are interested, if people who watch our Patreon vlog, and if you want to watch that vlog, go to our Patreon and check the levels, and then subscribe to the level that gives you the Patreon vlog. I'm happy to walk through something like that in the Patreon vlog if people are interested. Because I talked a while ago about walking through my Blades in the Dark Sim City phase thing, but that series has been dead for so long. I feel like people will be like, Blades in the what now? So maybe not, but yeah, I'll always talk about these things if people want. Cool. Okay. Thanks very much, folks. Take care. Stay safe out there, and we'll see you next week for more Symbaroum. Maybe the climactic episode of Witchhammer. It could be. It could be. We'll find out. Yeah. Bye. Bye.